Do you believe that you can heal yourself? Too often we give our power away to something outside of ourselves, and rarely, if ever, trust and tap into our innate healing power and intuition. Everyone has this capability to heal in ways we never thought possible. It's your sovereign right to claim and have true health and lasting wellness. Now, here is the host of the Dr. Dolores Show, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in our wonderful world. Welcome to our episode today on the Dr. Dolores Show. We're going to be talking about ghosting ourselves. You know, the times where we like disappear from ourselves and distract ourselves. Too often we do that. It's just like, and, I kind of thought about this for a little bit that the whole ghosting thing we hear about, people have been ghosted. It's just like all of a sudden you're communicating on your social media or through email, and all of a sudden the person stops communicating with you and poof, they're gone. So they've kind of checked out. So how many times do we check out from ourselves so we don't have to be with ourselves? It's kind of interesting. So it takes ghosting to the next level. So we are here on Inspired Choices Network. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And I'm just going to read from the description of today's show so you get a better understanding of what to expect in this episode. Do you find yourself distracting yourself from yourself? Are you constantly distracting yourself from your feelings or suffer from anxiety? Do you feel as if you are in your mind and rarely ever in your body where you experience the present moment? If you answered yes to any of those questions, then this episode is for you. Ghosting ourselves, disappearing from within, dwells into the psychological complexities of self avoidance and the phenomenon of disappearing into our own lives. This thought provoking episode explores how individuals disconnect from their authentic selves, succumbing to societal pressures and internal conflicts. And boy, there's a lot of that going on these days. Through compelling narratives and expert insights, viewers are guided on a journey of self discovery and reflection, shedding light on the profound impact of self ghosting on mental well being. So, we're here and we're talking about ghosting. And, really, what does ghosting mean? Ghosting is a term commonly used in the context of interpersonal relationships, particularly in dating and social interactions. It refers to the act of abruptly cutting off all communication with someone without explanation or warning. Essentially, it involves ignoring messages, calls, or any form of contact from the other person, effectively disappearing or ghosting them from your life. So, knowing that definition, I'm going to invite us all to take that a step further, because how often do we do that to ourselves? It's not about, ghosting somebody else. It's really about ignoring, being mean to ourselves, but also um, disappearing from ourselves, basically. When we're not able to connect with ourselves, or maybe we are so disconnected from ourselves, we're either in our mind all the time trying to figure it out. Maybe we suffer from anxiety. Sometimes anxiety is a sign that there's something deeper going on, and it's our innate mechanism to try to shift and change that, and our ability to move forward gets all disconnected and discombobulated. And it's about really stepping into ourselves and being able to connect with that innate wisdom that is within ourselves. So for some people, that's a real challenge. And it's like maybe something had happened to them when they were younger, where they had those intuitive abilities, and it was as if it really frightened and scared them. So they just popped out of that, and they haven't addressed some of those issues that have come from that deeper wisdom that probably disrupted them, and even probably scared the bejeebers out of them as well. So the anxiety is sometimes a a, a I want to say it's a message of something deeper that's under the surface that may be unconscious or being run unconsciously, and not being able to be dealt with because we aren't, maybe first of all, not aware that there's something there, or maybe we're aware of it but we just don't want to go there because sometimes we're afraid that if we step into it, if it's really painful or uncomfortable, that it'll never go away and we'll never get out of it. So we do what we can to avoid it at all costs. Like, it's the analogy of opening Pandora's box and just not being able to shut the lid because we don't know what's in Pandora's box, and it could be very frightening. So it's like the fear of the unknown of what is happening as well. What I feel is really important is that when you ghost yourself, it's like you are, when you're in a relationship with yourself, you're actually disconnecting yourself from yourself. So when we're able to embrace that and actually come to terms with that and just allow ourselves to go there, more beautiful things are going to unravel and come into being. And yes, we can do that to ourselves. We can ghost ourselves. It's, people think, oh, well, this is what happens to somebody else. But no, it happens to us as well. We just have never defined it as being that. So this could happen due to, maybe you're feeling overwhelmed or experiencing mental health issues, or even needing some time alone to do personal reflection. Um, yeah, it's really kind of frightening and daunting, but when you know you're doing it, then you could do something about it. That's how you could become more proactive. So when we ghost ourselves, we distract ourselves from ourselves. And what it looks like, it's like avoidance behaviors. We might keep ourselves extremely busy with external distractions such as work, social media, or just binging on Netflix. Guilty. To avoid confronting our inner thoughts and emotions. When we're able to um, look at what we're avoiding, this is where a lot of richness comes in. It might be because we're suppressing our emotions. Instead of acknowledging and processing our feelings, we may push them aside or bury them, leading to unresolved emotional issues that can linger and cause distress and eventually stress out the body and cause disease as well. So when we're suppressing our emotions, we have to remember that everything is energy. What you're seeing in my office right now is a demonstration of energy. It's just denser forms. Our physical bodies are energy, but we're denser forms. But our emotions, our thought waves, our connectedness to ourselves, ancestral lineage, all that stuff is energy as well, but it's more like radio waves. So that means that everything is energy. It just demonstrates through the denseness of being more solid to more, I want to call it esoteric, or more of like a radio wave. So when you are suppressing your emotions, it's balls of energy. And when you're not experiencing that ball of energy or that bubble of energy, it has to go someplace, and it kind of gets landlocked in your energy field. And then eventually the tipping point is that it comes into your physical body. And when you're not able to feel, or you don't give yourself permission to feel, or you ignore it, it can raise a lot of not so good things with you. Your body goes through stressors. It wouldn't surprise me if down the line they figure out that, this whole suppression of your emotions is causing your cortisol to go up. Which causes a lot of inflammation. I'm not surprised that a lot of people today have problems with a lot of what they call metabolic syndrome, where it's like they have a lot of problems with their um, insulin resistance, because what happens is that over time, if you are not experience your emotions, or you're have some not so great thinking, or you're disconnected from yourself, your body is reacting with stress because of that, because it's trying to um, control things, and its way of controlling things is the adrenaline system is working overtime, and it causes a lot of overwork, a lot of inflammation. When you have a lot of inflammation, you start gaining weight and you can't take it off. So it's a slippery slope. And when you're not experiencing your emotions, you are trapping energy in your body, and your body is doing its best to keep it at bay and trying to control it and protect you, and it goes into inflammation response. So like I was saying, this is what gets channeled to me, and we probably don't have the exact science for it, but I believe that as time goes on, this will becoming more and more in the forefront. The other thing too, Another thing is how we ghost ourselves, is we criticize ourselves at nauseum. We talk about the self-talk, the stuff that we say in our minds, in the quiet of our minds, while you think nobody else is listening, but you are. So be really clear about and be aware. It's about becoming more and more aware of what you're doing, so you could make a proactive decision or choice to choose something different. This is where our power comes in. It's not something from outside of ourselves. It's about going within yourself and tapping into your innate power, and your ability to tap into that inner wisdom. And it's not for the weak of heart. It's just like, yes, this is something that over time, the more and more you do this, the more easily it's going to become, and it's just going to become a normal pattern for you. Also, sometimes we like to escape. I mean, all love to escape, and I think escaping is a healthy thing to do, yet you walk a fine line. It's like, how much escape should I do and how much shouldn't I do? So, escapism is like, sometimes it could be an extreme thing, is turning to alcohol and drugs to numb out what you're experiencing, or other addictive behaviors. And it might be maybe shopping, maybe binging on Netflix. It could be as simple as that. Some people use food as an addiction. There's many possibilities for addiction. Being on social media sometimes is an addiction, believe it or not. So when you are finding that you're wanting to escape and not feel or deal with what's going on, and you're finding that you're distracting yourself from being with yourself, I invite you to take a deep breath and just kind of be aware of what's going on with you, and looking at your patterns and stuff. And the other thing that sometimes, how we ghost ourselves, is like ignoring your personal growth, avoiding self-reflection, um, and not being teachable. I think a lot of us have a tendency to be stubborn. We dig in our heels and we're like, oh no, I'm not going there. It's just like, and you cross your arms, and it's like this little defiant child within you that is just having a temper tantrum. And what's important is that we gain so much wisdom if we become teachable, and not only teachable for other people, but also teachable within ourselves. Being able to go in and do self reflection, to see things from a different perspective, to gain wisdom and knowledge that your higher self may be wanting to share with you. So, we kind of covered quite a bit of things about how we distract ourselves from ourselves. And we're talking about ghosting ourselves, disappearing from within today on the Dr. Dolores Show. And I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we come back, we'll talk more about things you could do to prevent or you just, prevent ghosting yourself. So stay tuned and we'll be back after this break.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're on the Inspired Choices Network. And this week on our show, we are talking about ghosting ourselves. And, we talked in the first segment about those things that we do to ourselves to prevent ourselves from being with ourselves. And I know that when we think about ghosting, we think about, oh my gosh, it's personal relationships and with other people and situations. And when we ghost ourselves, we're actually in a relationship with ourselves. So why would we want to do that? So before break, we talked about all those things that can interfere with being with ourselves and causing us to ghost ourselves. But what are the consequences of ghosting yourself? I mean, let's look at that for a little bit. When we have emotional avoidance, we fail to address underlying issues that may be causing distress, and this can lead to a buildup of unresolved emotions and eventually manifest as anxiety, depression, and other health issues. So this is where our body, mind, and soul are working together. When there's something out of kilter or out of whack, the body responds with anxiety sometimes. So it's a good idea to look at those things and to be brave enough to go and to ask yourself the question, how is that so? Or show me more about this and why am I feeling this? Instead of going into our automatic patterning of reacting to it and trying to keep things at bay. When we know for a fact that when we don't express our emotions, it equals over time interference with our overall health and well-being, and your body starts to compensate for that energy that's not being experience. So please, by all means, don't avoid your emotions, embrace them, and allow them just to be as they are, and allow yourself to step into it, experience it without projecting it onto anybody else. Just feel what it feels like and just allow it to dissipate. Because when we try to keep our emotions at bay, it's almost like we're in react mode, and it's like we're trying to control it. And when we try to control something, our stress level just gets amplified to the nth degree. So feel, feel, and feel. It's safe to feel. Sometimes we lack another consequence when we ghost ourselves, our lack of self awareness. Distraction prevents us from engaging in self reflection and introspection, like we were sharing, um, which are crucial for understanding our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Without self awareness, we may struggle to identify our needs, goals, and values, leading to a sense of confusion and dissatisfaction with life. So, when we're self aware, we're able to discern what is my stuff versus what is somebody else's stuff. When we're self aware, you're able to make a different choice. You are consciously choosing things instead of allowing your unconsciousness to continue on creating ad lib, if you want to call it that. It's just on automatic. So when you're more self-aware, you're more in control, and you have a better knowledge of who you are and how you're going to move forward, and how you're going to be able to um, determine what your next move is. Another consequence of ghosting yourself is difficulty in problem solving, or the consequences of ghosting yourself. When we avoid confronting our inner experiences, we may find it challenging to effectively address problems or conflicts in our lives, which is very true. So, because remember, if you're not self aware, you are almost running on automatic. So, what's going on in your unconscious world is kind of running the show. It's when we become self aware, we bring the unconscious parts of ourselves into consciousness, so then we can make a different choice. A lot of times we have strained relationships. When we have constant distraction from ourselves, it impacts our ability to connect authentically with others, because remember, everything starts with us first. If you're unable to connect with yourself in a true, authentic way, how are you able to do that with other people? That's something to ponder on, because remember, everything starts with us first. Okay. If you're able to have a good relationship with yourself, that's going to mirror out, and it ripples out into collective consciousness, and it's going to attract what you are on the inside of yourself. I know that's not for the faint of heart. It's like, yeah, sometimes when you hold up the mirror to, you're seeing something in your world that you're not liking, I invite you to take what you're observing and just question and ponder that. And it's like, where in my life am I feeling this? Because what you're witnessing outside of yourself is the reflection of who you are inside of yourself. Something to keep in mind. It reduces our resilience. When we avoid our inner experiences, we can weaken our resilience in the face of adversity. And so the thing is, without the ability to confront and process difficult emotions, we may struggle to bounce back from setbacks or challenges. So it's about allowing yourself to experience those things that we distract ourselves from. Maybe it is something and deeper seated within you that needs to be addressed, healed, so that you could move on and move forward, and allow yourself to just be in the present moment and just allow it to be what it is. And not to worry, because sometimes we think, oh, I don't have time to do this, or, what is everybody else going to think? And I'm going to invite you to realize that you're a priority and you need to make the time to do this, because once you clean this up and are working through that, you're going to have more freedom, more clarity, and more room within your energy field so that you could put something of your choosing there as you move forward. And I think you'll be pleasantly surprised is that when you start addressing some of these things, you're going to be gaining parts of your self back. It's almost like calling back parts of your soul that have been trapped in another time and place. It's a shamanic approach to things, yet it's very effective and very simple and straightforward. I feel that when we get triggered, there's something there on a deeper level that is wanting to be healed or addressed. And sometimes what we're being triggered by is just the tip of the iceberg, and it's totally unrelated to the actual core experience that we've had that set up this patterning for ourselves. When we're able to look at that aspect that is triggering us and go deep within ourselves and ask the question, show me where this original wounding came from. A lot of times you'll get a flashback of an earlier time, and I invite you just to sit with that and just look at it objectively as a witness, not experiencing it again, and seeing where the moment occurred that this was a part of your soul got fractured off and you're stuck in another time, place, and time zone, and maybe another paradigm. It's that simple. Sometimes just acknowledging that and seeing it for what it is and realizing that this has nothing to do with you. A lot of times, maybe it was something that, was an ancestral thing that you took on unconsciously in that moment, but yet for maybe up to decades, it's been running the show of your life. Time to clean that stuff up. What do you think, huh? So, this is the type of work that I do with people, is like going very deep into, I call it basically flipping switches energetically. And it's about allowing the person to experience things from within, heal that up, transmute, transform, and transcend that. So the energy that has been trapped there is allowed to heal itself, and we're allowed to move forward, collect the part of ourself that was stuck and landlocked in another time and place, so it becomes integrated within ourselves so that we become more complete whole. So if this is something that you're more curious about, I invite you to reach out to me and drop me a line at Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com, and I'd be more than happy to work with you on this matter. So, loss of personal growth and opportunities. When we distract ourselves from learning and growing from our experiences, we miss out on opportunities for self-development, self-discovery, and personal development. It's like finding those gold nuggets on an archaeological dig. Because let's face it, some of us have been around for several decades. There's a lot of gold nuggets that are in different parts or compartments that are time to be revealed and collect those. So we have a beautiful treasure trove of what's to come next. And these are our tools for resilience and being able to move forward. So, you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about ghosting yourself, disappearing from within, and how we could reconnect with ourselves and embrace our uniqueness and be more in the present moment. So stay tuned. And when we come back from break, You'll learn more.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
Well, welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And on today's episode, we are talking about ghosting ourselves, disappearing from within. And, Sarah piped up here in the chat and she says, it reminds me of something I've been learning about, and it's about abandoning ourselves. Yeah, it's definitely abandonment stuff. And we do abandon ourselves sometimes. And, we have to remember we're having a relationship with ourselves. Okay. Would you abandon your best friend? Okay. I don't think so, not unless she did something really bad to you or something. But overall, I think we are very compassionate and empathetic and loving and kind creatures. And we wouldn't think of doing that to a friend, but we do that to ourselves. And I think sometimes we just do it unconsciously to ourselves. So it's about becoming more aware so you're not able to abandon yourself and keep yourself, on the up and up, and just treating yourself like, you're going to be your best friend, which you are. Because remember, the longest relationship you'll have in your life is the one you have with yourself. So, in this segment, we're going to talk more about how we can reconnect with ourselves and to embrace our uniqueness and be present in the moment. So, practicing mindfulness is a big deal. Whenever I preach about this all the time. Mindful activity is like the foundational step to allowing you to be fully present in your body. And if some of our listeners are having a challenge with that, I just invite you to play with that, because when you do a mindful activity, and it could be as simple as going outside in nature, playing with your favorite, your pet, your being with your favorite person. What a mindful activity does, it allows you to lose all sense of time and place. So we've all had those moments where we get involved in something that we absolutely love, and hours go by. And you're like, oh my God, where did the time go by? Because you were in the moment, totally enmeshed and involved with whatever you were doing that allowed you to lose sense of time and place. So anything that allows you to lose, sense of time and place. Some athletes love, doing athletic pursuits. That is their mindful activity. Some people going for a walk in nature is a mindful activity. Being around your grandchildren, if you have grandchildren, may be a mindful activity. or not. It could be a stressful activity as well. But anyway, gotta love those little boogers. What I'm saying is that practice mindfulness, because this is your foundational piece in order to get you into your body. And if you're ever having problems getting into your body and you can't really get grounded, please go to my website. It's a new website. We just got it updated. DrDoloresFazino.com. There is a free guided meditation to allow you to be in the present moment. Very simple, straightforward. I take you to guided steps to allow you to be in your body and be right here, right now. Self-reflection is another thing. Set a time, daily. I invite you to do that. Even if you sit down for 10 to 15 minutes and you journal or just be with yourself to reflect on your thoughts. And let me really emphasize, this is not about let's beat yourself up session. Okay. It's not that. It's about allowing yourself to see and witness things without, I want to say, taking it personally, but being curious like a child so that you're able to gather information and just move forward in a different direction. This is where you're able to gain strength and make a different choice when you self-reflect. Embrace authenticity. Celebrate your unique qualities, quirks, and talents. And instead of trying to fit into society and comparing yourself with others, create your own story and your own circumstances. I just crack up when, people say, well, you can't do that. And I always respond, who made that rule up? So don't follow the norms of society. Live by your own beat of your own drum. Okay. You're on your own journey and you're making it your own by your experiences and everything else that that you come across and are able to integrate into your life by what you're experiencing. Live a true, authentic, and real life that is yours and only yours, not your neighbors, not Dr. Dolores's, not your husband's or your boyfriend's or your girlfriend. Just be true to yourself and very authentic. Connect with your passions. If you're really passionate about something, and just move forward with it, because if you're feeling like you're leaning towards something, it's a yes. When you feel like you're being pulled away from it, it's a no. Follow your passion. When you follow your passion, it's like you're saying yes to the universe. Practice self-compassion. Be kind and gentle to yourself, especially during challenging times, and treat yourself with the same understanding and empathy that you would offer to a friend facing similar struggles. We're really good at giving advice to other people, but do we take that advice for ourselves? Sometimes when we're giving advice to others, it's a dual message that it's supposed to be a message for you as well. So take interest in that and be aware of that. That's a huge epiphany for some people. Okay. I'm going to start taking my own advice as I move forward. Remember to set boundaries. Boundaries are so important, especially for those of us who are empaths, intuitives, and highly sensitive people. It's about protecting your time, energy, and emotional well-being. And you are worth it. And please continue to do that. Also, prioritize yourself and nourish your mind, body, and soul. These are so, so, so important. Cultivate gratitude, because remember, when you are in a state of gratitude, it raises your frequency and your vibration. When you raise your frequency and vibration, you are attracting more and more of the same things to be grateful and appreciative of, and allows you to attract. And it's the manifestation and it's the law of abundance and law of attraction. So continue to be in gratitude, a state of gratitude and appreciation for everything that you have. Even the experiences that you would label as not so pleasant, there is gold nuggets and wisdom in that that are going to allow you, when you are able to take that wisdom and those gold nuggets, allow you to move to your next step and next step and next step. And also seek support. It's about really, community is a big buzzword right now. And there's a lot of community and about finding your tribe and stuff. And be discerning and go where you are leaning into. We talked about leaning into, like it being more of a yes. Whatever you lean into is probably what is right for you. It's about you being connected to your inner wisdom, and your inner wisdom is orchestrating with you to, give you your next experience, that whatever you need for your personal growth and an ability to expand your knowledge, expand your capability to be more human, and your capability to have a better relationship with yourself. So remember that reconnecting with yourself and embracing your uniqueness is an ongoing process that requires patience, self-compassion, and dedication. And by incorporating these practices into your daily life, you can cultivate a deeper sense of self-awareness, presence, and fulfillment, and no longer ghosting yourself. So, this is an interesting thing too. We talk a lot about the human ascension process and how humanity is evolving and moving from what we call the third dimension to the fifth dimension. And it's not the song, the age of the Aquarius, but it is. And the concept of ascending to higher dimensions is often discussed in spiritual and metaphysical contexts, and interpretations can vary widely. When we are exploring this concept of moving into a higher dimension, it's really about individual growth. We talked a lot about personal growth and spiritual development in this session. We're also talking about consciousness expansion, and it's about being self-aware and being able to expand our awareness and explore different perspectives, beliefs, philosophies with an open mind and a willingness to learn. So being teachable and allowing ourselves to receive the wisdom that is available for us. It's about doing our inner work, engaging in our inner work to heal past wounds, release limiting beliefs, and transcend our ego-based patterns and attachments. We call it shadow work sometimes, inner child healing, and it's mostly about learning how to go back to the whole essence of love without judgment or criticism, but also to embrace that all there is really love. There's no longer fear. Unity consciousness, and it's about the interconnectedness of everything, realizing that who you are is not a linear or compartmentalized process, but a matrix where things are interconnected in ways you have no idea. So, and when we're one of those matrices, when you put humanity next to each other, everybody has their own little matrix of things that are interconnected. And so it's almost like we have this multidimensional tapestry that is being created by all of our uniqueness. So it's like a beautiful patchwork quilt where every person is just a little square of fabric, but it's like this big matrix of who we are. It's like a multidimensional blanket or tapestry or work of art. Um, Being in service to others. And it's not to promote our ego or whatever, but to look at the bigger picture of things. Embracing our higher frequencies. We're into a place of where there is more love available to us, abundance, prosperity, And it's about jumping that timeline and ascending ourselves to that higher vibration. It's about releasing fear because fear has no home for where we're going in the fifth dimension. And it's about staying grounded. The groundedness is a real um, challenge for some people, especially when it's very easy to get sidetracked. When we ghost ourselves, we're not grounded. We are um, we are actually projecting ourselves into another time and space where we get kind of lost in the spin cycle of the collective consciousness and causes a lot of chaos and unrest, but also causes us to um, not have a sense of who we are. So grounding is so important. And it maintains a balance between the spiritual and the material world. So we're getting ready to go on to our next break, but when we return, we're going to talk about more of the things that you could do in order to no longer ghost yourself and disappear from yourself. So you've been listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. And we're on the Inspired Choices Network. And when we return, we'll talk more about ghosting ourselves, disappearing from within. Stay tuned.
Do you trust your instincts? Many of us don't. Yet this is the key to connecting to your innate healer within and your intuition. Tune in to the Dr. Dolores Show with nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, Dr. Dolores Fazzino, to receive insights and tools to realign with your inner wisdom for lasting health and true wellness. Listen for the Dr. Dolores Show, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. This is the Dr. Dolores Show with Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer. To participate in the program, join the live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also send an email to Dolores at drdoloresfazzino.com. Now, back to the program.
And welcome back, everybody. You're listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. I'm Dr. Dolores Fazzino, nurse practitioner, medical intuitive, and energy whisperer, and we are on the Inspired Choices Network. So before our break, we were talking about ghosting ourselves, disappearing from within, and something about the things that we could do to allow us to transcend to the future and going into five-dimensional reality, a higher vibration love frequency. And we talked a little bit about, individual growth, our inner work, our being able to embrace higher frequencies, releasing fear, because fear is the polar opposite of love. And where we're going is no longer going to be an alignment for fear. It's more about love, prosperity, abundance, and community, where we're heading for in the fifth dimension. I talked briefly about staying grounded before the break, and I think being grounded is not because you're bad or anything. It's about being planted on the earth and being able to integrate what you're connecting your spirituality with your physical body and integrating the spirituality and bringing it in to your body, but also into this reality that you're living in at this very moment. When we ground ourselves, we're able to um, be here, but also expand it. So we're kind of planted in the earth and we are radiating out our essence instead of just being flighty and all over chaos and creating like a whirlwind of nonsense. When you are grounded, you are present right here, right now in your body, and you're able to tap into aspects of yourself that can assist you. Discernment is a big piece, and critical thinking. I think for many people, critical thinking has gone out the window, and it's about the discernment piece that is so essential, in determining what is true for you and what is real and what is not real. Not everything you see or hear is for you. Sometimes there's, trickster energy that comes through that is, not the real deal. And it's about discerning what feels authentic for you. And like I said, it's about where you're leaning into things and where you're not, you're falling back. So when you're leaning into something, I would definitely say that this is a yes, and you're in alignment with what is right for you. So important, integrate your spiritual insights and experiences into your daily life, and apply the wisdom that you gain to allow yourself to make the right next step for you. So I want to say some of the takeaways from this episode. I just want to talk about that. And when we talk about ghosting ourselves, disappearing from within, we really want to, number one, be aware that we're doing it. So, and then from that point, we could make a different choice and different decision. So, personal growth is huge. Focus on your individual growth and spiritual development through practices like meditation, self-reflection, and doing your inner work. Another takeaway would be having conscious expansion. Remain open to expanding your awareness and understanding of the world, embracing unity, consciousness, and interconnectedness. So look at life from an awe perspective of how amazing things can be in your future. The other thing to remember is that be in service with compassion. Shift your focus from self-interest to service to others and cultivating a higher vibrational frequency such as love, joy, and compassion. Do this with yourself as well, because be in service to you and be compassionate to you, and also be in service to others as well, because you're deserving of being in service to. Release fear and embrace trust. If anything, this year, we are in such uncharted waters right now, and we are unable to see sometimes what our next step is. It's about being in deep trust, knowing that the universe has your back, it won't fail you, and trusting that when you are looking like you're running out of road and you're get to the end of the precipice, that you don't know where your next step is, to have that blind leap of faith and trust, and knowing that the next step and the next path will be there for you. Discernment and integration. Exercise discernment when exploring spiritual teachings, integrating insights into your daily life for conscious living. So this goes back to, feeling. Does it something feel off, or does it not? Are you leaning into something, or are you falling back? If you're leaning in, it probably is a yes. If you're kind of like back a little bit, then it's a no. Maybe it's a hell no. Overall, ascending to the higher dimensions involves a journey of self-discovery. So I invite you to move on and no longer ghost yourself. Embrace yourself. Allow yourself to be the best version of who you are. Dig deep into those archaeological digs that you find those gold nuggets. So next week, let's talk about a topic that is a little more lighthearted. It's called Laugh at Yourself, Embracing Humor and Lightness. How often do we take ourselves way too seriously? So next week, laugh at yourself.
Thank you for listening to the Dr. Dolores Show. Dr. Dolores returns Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central, 1 p.m. Mountain, 12 p.m. Pacific. on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. Until then, remember to be kind to yourself and create your best life. You are worth it.